Yo, what's up guys, Poozy here. This video is sponsored by TurboSmurfs.gg. Make sure to use the link in the description and use code Poozy to get an insane amount of 20% off. Enjoy the video, bros. Okay, item tier list. You know me guys, I'm the best Rengar, and I calculated, analyzed, abused and tested and theory crafted every single item in this game. So what do you think? What do you think guys is the best item? The best item Rengar can go right now. Well, from all legendary and from all mythic items. What do you guys think is the SS plus tier item for Rengar? The very best item Rengar can ever go. If you... Lord Dominic's Regards is the best item Rengar can go. It's an S plus tier item for Rengar. Why? Armor Pen, which gives you insane damage. Crit, which gives you even more damage. And the Giant Slayer passive on top of the Armor Pen, which makes you deal more damage to enemies who are low HP or lower HP than you are. This allows you to literally one-shot tanks and every single champ in the game, because if you didn't know, Rengar is one of the lowest base HPs, and especially later in the game, ADCs and every single class in this game has more HP than you, so that just enables you to just deal insane amount of damage. Lord Dominic's Regards is literally the best item you can go on. It's an S plus item. On top of Lord Dominic's, another S item, it's not S plus, but it's S, a core item. Those are the two core items for Rengar and the two S tier items. Essence Reaver. Why is Essence Reaver so good in Rengar, guys? Why is Essence Reaver so good in Rengar? It's insane on Rengar because A, the cooldown reduction, okay? The cooldown reduction from it is super insane and allows you to snowball. This is crazy good for Rengar. Snowball, cooldown reduction. On top of that, the Sheen proc every time you jump gives you an insane damage amplifier and damage boost. All your Qs, all your first jumps on enemy target will just make sure you deal extra bonus damage that cannot be dodged. You cannot dodge it, it's an auto attack, right? On top of that, it gives you solid AD and crit. But that's not all. You might think, but Poozy, Essence Reaver gives you mana, right? Like Rengar doesn't have mana, why is it so good? Because the item is broken. It has been broken for years and Riot does not nerf it. So on top of all of that, on top of being super strong with AD, having super good crit, and having a Sheen proc, it's super cheap. It's one of the cheapest items Rengar can go, and it allows you to just give you the best early game spike, okay? Essence Reaver is an ST item, literally. It's like one of the two core items, LDR and Essence Reaver. So those items you have to go literally every game. It gives you crit, Rengar juices up with crit, right? Rengar deals insane damage with crit. Rengar's Q scale with crit. And on top of that, those items are quite cheap. I mean, Essence Reaver is cheaper than LDR. And they're just core. The best items you can go on Rengar, and you have to go them basically every game. So that's for that. And then they're like the other items. Those are the two core items, right? And then let's actually go over to the mythic items. I think over the last 3 days, I've tried every mythic item and I actually changed my opinion. I think Youmos went from S tier, like Youmos was the most broken item you could imagine for Rengar. But I think now after the nerfs, Youmos actually went down to A tier. I don't think Youmos is as broken as it was. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's that broken anymore. I've tried Youmos a lot and the damage is not satisfying. On top of that, the movement speed is not that satisfying. And on top of that, I think Duskblade just outclasses Youmos. Because now with Duskblade, like the reason why Youmos was so good is because you just one-shot everything and you have insane movement speed. So there was no counterplay. But now you don't one-shot everything and the movement speed is still decent, but just the damage is not that great anymore. So I literally think Duskblade is a better version of Youmos now. The only time I would go Youmos is if I'm really fat early game. I can snowball the game, right? If I'm, let's say, starting 2-0 or 3-0. That's the only time I would go Youmos. Because then you can actually snowball and the movement speed will help you, and you don't need the extra damage from Duskblade or the survivability. So I think Youmos is an 80 item now after the nerfs. And yeah, I think Youmos is an 80 item, moved from S plus tier to 80, okay? But I think, unironically, Duskblade moved up from a B tier item, and the damage amplifier, when they're low HP, feels insanely good. You deal so much damage. It is criminal actually how much damage you deal. It is actually criminal. I think Duskblade is an AA plus tier would be quite big. I think Duskblade is an A plus tier item. I don't think no mythic is really S tier on Rengar, honestly. Those, like, you just buy them whenever you can. But Duskblade is very good, A plus I would say. It helps you kill the carries if you otherwise wouldn't because of the damage amplifier. So if you would be struggling to kill the carries because they have a Lulu or like heal or exhaust, Duskblade helps you with that. On top of that, the cooldown reduction feels insanely good on the like Rengar. You have so many ulti procs. Duskblade just is the goat of cooldown reduction. You have so many abilities and can use them so often. And on top of that, the passive. Every time you kill someone, when you proc Duskblade, especially with Ingenious Hunter, if you didn't know, if you use Ingenious Hunter and Cosmic Insight, the Duskblade passive goes down to 6 seconds, from 10 to 6 seconds. So you can get your Duskblade invulnerability every 6 seconds in team fights, which is very good. And it helps you just get out after you one-shot someone. So you can one-shot someone guaranteed to Duskblade passive, mostly guaranteed. And on top of that you can escape, because the people can't target you. So that's actually very good. So Duskblade actually turned into an A+ item, I think. For it to be S tier, I think it would need lower cooldown on the passive. Guys, I still think 6 seconds is a lot, and only allows you to get 1 pick. But I think Duskblade is still A+. So super good item. The best mythic item for Rengar, I think, right now. But then let's not forget about Eclipse. Eclipse is also still insane. I don't think Eclipse is as good as Duskblade. Because the only time you buy Eclipse is if they're tanky, right? If they're bruisers or if they're tanks. But Eclipse is... You're strong once you buy Eclipse, but just 2v2 skirmishes early game, or just 1v1s. But you can't pick that much. And Rengar's an assassin, right? Rengar wants to just like pick potential. Go in, get out. So... But Eclipse is still good, especially if they have tanky champions and like a lot of melees and a lot of bruisers, right? So I think Eclipse... I don't know. Eclipse I think is A tier though. Not A+, but A tier. Eclipse is still super good, and people don't. This is a very good item, and it's a lot of value, especially in higher elos when the enemy knows how to play around you and you need to win through those skirmishes. So I think it's an A tier item. It's not as good as it used to be because of all the changes. You don't get the lifesteal anymore. I think if the Eclipse still gave you lifesteal, it would be an S tier item, by the way. The lifesteal in Eclipse felt so good, but now that it just gives you damage and shield, I think it went down to A tier item. So yeah, that's the mythic items. Actually, I forgot about Divine Sunra. I think Divine Sunra is a B tier item. Divine Sunra is only good in certain games when they have like insane tanks, right? When they have insane tanky champions, Divine Sunra is actually pretty good. But for that to happen, the comp needs to be perfect. So I don't think I can put Divine Sunra higher than B tier. It deals so much damage to tanks and has so good sustain. But Rengar just does not have a bruiser. Like playing Rengar as a bruiser is not good. Rengar is not a bruiser. He has a bruiser kit, which kind of sucks with his W, but he's just bad as a bruiser. No damage Rengar is useless, like I said, unless they're super tanky. But that's not that often the case anymore. We're kind of like in a snowball meta. So yeah. Divine Sunra B tier. Rengar's not that good. Which legendary items I actually like a lot besides Essence Reaver and LDR? I think Prowlers is very underrated, by the way. I think Prowlers is super underrated. Lethality items always are secure damage, right? And you want lethality items either first or second item. After that you need crit. You need crit, because crit just scales the best. But for early game lethality is super good. And Prowlers is fairly cheap, deals decent amount of damage, and make sure you lock down the enemy. So it's a secured version. So if they have like an Ezreal or a Lucian that can dash away, the 99% slow from Prowlers is actually very good. And on top of that, just the damage output and the cooldown. Like it's just as good stats overall, right? I think Prowler is an A tier item as well. I don't think it's worse than A tier. I think it's on the same level as like I don't see people buying Prowlers. I don't know why. It's very good actually. And besides Prowlers, wait, I actually forgot another S tier item. I forgot another S tier item. You know which item is crazy? It's my favorite item in the game, by the way. It's Serpent's Fang. Serpent's Fang is my favorite item in the game. If the enemy has more shields, or like at least 2 shields, go Serpent's Fang every game. Every game, second item. Serpent's Fang is so good. The value it gives you, and the damage, and the stats overall are just too insane not to go. Like if they have a Seraphine, or a Sona, for example, or a Janna, or like a Shield Bow. Serpents is so good. 2.6k, look at this, 2.6k. 2.6k. For how much? 55 lethality, 55 AD and 12 lethality. On top of that, for the shield shred as well. On top of that, you have the shield shred. This item is so efficient, it's crazy. And people never buy it. Like people are, I don't know, people just copy. That's why I have the item guide, right? If they have shields, you have to go Serpent's Fang. The value is crazy. Then it's, let's say instead of Essence Reaver second item or Prowlers, you just go Serpent's Fang if they have shields. And you will not regret it, because the value is just so insane. Plus the efficiency. It's crazy. Crazy good item. Actually my favorite item. I think it's an S tier item. But I think besides that, there are not that many more S tier items. I'm not over-exaggerating. I'm really not over-exaggerating. This Edge of Night. I actually don't know. I think it's 2.9k, right? Yeah, 2.9k. I needed to see 2.9k for only 50 AD, 10 lethality, and 300 health. First of all, the 300 health denies you the Giant Slayer passive from LDR, right? Because you get HP. And the HP gives you more HP than the enemy carries usually. And that denies you the Giant Slayer passive from LDR, which already sucks. On top of that, 50 lethality, 50 AD and 10 lethality is nothing. It's literally nothing. This item is so bad. Like Serpent's Fang costs 300 less gold, gives you 5 more AD, and gives you 2 more lethality. and more damage because of the shield shred against shield comps. But you have to go Edge of Night some games, because if they have a Poppy or a Janna or Lulu, you can't play the game without Edge of Night. So it sucks that this item is mandatory in certain games. So I hate going it. I hate if I play against Janna or Lulu, because then I have to auto buy Edge of Night. But it's, I mean, it has to be C plus tier, because the only value it has is counter knockups or like jump cancels. That is the only purpose Edge of Night has. It counters champions that just deny you your jump. And Edge of Night stats are just awful. It's a C. It has to be C+ item. Can't go more because of the stats, and lower. It can't go lower because you just need it in certain games. Yeah, that item is so trash. That item. But actually another item I really like throughout the item changes, which I think is super good and very. I don't think it's underrated. I think people abuse it. It's actually Stormrazor. That Stormrazor nerfs didn't do a lot to it. Like it didn't do it a lot to like deny you buying Stormrazor. The sets are still super good. Especially since Rengar just uses crit that well, and the attack speed also super well. Stormrazor is really good in Rengar. It's not expensive, it only costs 3k, and it gives you super good AD, super good crit, and attack speed. And you deal super good damage with your Stormrazor proc. Right? The Stormrazor proc also deals insane damage. And since it deals some AP magic damage, it also kinda counters armor, champions that buy armor usually. So I really like that about Stormrazor. Yes, what can I say? Yeah. I like Stormrazor a lot. I would put Stormrazor. I think I would put Stormrazor in A+ tier. I think literally A+. It's not S tier, it's not A tier. I actually think it's A+ tier. The bonus damage you get from every jump, and especially since it scales with AD, and Rengar has like the most insane AD scalings in the game because of his passive, so it just synergizes super well with Rengar. I think Stormrazor is an A+ tier item as well. Insane good item. Ooh, Collector. Collector is a problem. You don't wanna know why Collector is a problem? I think Collector is a super good item, but the problem is that LDR exists, and LDR is just a better version of Collector. The only time when you don't go LDR but you go Collector is if the enemy team has no armor. I'm talking like 0 armor. No armor at all. That's the only time Collector actually outvalues LDR and is worth to buy. Like 4th item after Essence Reaver or Stormrazor. But this item is not bad on Rengar. The only problem literally is that LDR is a better version. So I would put Collector actually in A tier, because it's a good item. I would put it in A tier, maybe A- tier. Let's say A- because you'd never buy it actually. But it's a super good item. It got buffed. It gives you super good lethality. Where is it? 18 lethality, crit, and AD. 55 AD and an execute. Those are super good stats. But that it doesn't give you ability haste kinda sucks, because you need ability haste in Rengar, especially in the early game. So you can't buy its second item because you lose so much ability haste, which ends up losing your tempo. And super good item. Collector's A- tier item, I think. Easy A-. I actually like that item a lot. Yeah. What else am I missing? Bloodthirster. Now the issue I have with Bloodthirster is Bloodthirster is super expensive. 3.2k. But it's a very insane item, and actually it's getting nerfed next patch. I don't know what is getting nerfed. So in the early game, it just denies you Snowball. You don't want to buy expensive items early game unless you're so fat, like really fat. But on top of that, it doesn't give you cooldown reduction. It only gives you lifesteal, and lifesteal only has value if you have already insane AD, right? So you need items before Bloodthirster to actually get it, before it's gonna be useful. Because otherwise the lifesteal has no value. Lifesteal has no value without any other items before. So yeah, I'll put Bloodthirster. I think I'll put Bloodthirster in, I think B tier, just straight up. Because it gives you good AD, and the lifesteal feels good late game, but it's so expensive. And after the nerfs probably, it's gonna be kinda shit. Let's say B tier, okay? Because the lifesteal actually has insane value. Well, by the way, that play was kinda clean, hello? Why is no one talking about that play? Come on man, give me some props for that one. Let's now might have another S tier contester, now that I think about it. Maw of Malmortius. Maw of Malmortius is by far, with Serpent's Fang, the most underrated item. The most underrated item on Rengar by far. But only if they have AP. You can only buy more if they have AP, right? But if they have AP, an AP carry, or if you're really fat and they have a few AP champions, or like a lot of AP champions, this item is the most insane item you can imagine. More of my Mortiers, if they have AP, is an SC item. It's super broken, and especially since it scales with Rengar's AD. So like the shield is so insane since Rengar has very good AD numbers, right? So Maul is an SC item if they have AP. But since it's only situational, I don't think I can put it S tier, right? Situational items can never be S tier. So I'll put more on A tier, just because it's so broken if they have the APs. AP champions. So I have to put it A tier. If they, if there was an AP champion, AP carry every game, or like a lot of AP champions every game, it will be the best item on Rengar in the entire game. Not even Shoreline. It's so good, so strong to counter AP champs. But yeah, I think it's an 80 item. Because it's so cheap, 2.8k, gives you so insane damage, 65 AD, most AD an item can give you, by the way. And on top of that, insane magic resist plus the shield. Like, just goated item. Has to be 80. And by the way, someone asked for Infinity Edge. What I think about Infinity Edge. Probably one of the worst items you can go Rengar. Infinity Edge is a CT item. This item sucks. The only time Infinity Edge is good is if you're already 5 items into the game. Then you get the raw damage. Infinity Edge is just too expensive. No cooldown reduction, just no lethality, just yes. So the critical strike damage kinda works with Q. But besides that, it's too expensive. It just sucks. No ability haste, nothing else. You have not even damage, because you don't have like crit items before that. And no lethality items. Tier item. Navori is probably D tier item. Even worse than Infinity Edge. Gives you absolutely nothing. Navori gives you absolutely nothing. It gives you ability haste, I guess. But it's not worth it. You have no damage if you go Navori. So those are the other... Right? Okay. We went over those. Death Stance. I almost forgot about Death Stance. Now Death Stance is a hard item. It kinda got, after the nerf, it kinda got worse. But it still is super good on Rengar. I know I never buy Death Stance myself, but it's mainly because I don't even get to the point of buying Death Stance, because the game's 6 items. Death Stance is really good to go just for the sustain. Or if you're really fat, to not lose your lead, right? Remember when I said, if you're fat, you want to invest into defensive items to not lose your lead? Yeah, there's Death Stance. I think Death Stance is still a good item, not as good as Maul, and not as good as it used to be, but it's still good. And it's still good to deny you from dying and deny the enemies from one-shotting you. And it's a good late game item to get more sustain and just like more security in team fights. Allows you to do more stuff because you have more HP. But I would put Death Stance in B tier. The nerfs just kinda made it sucky mostly. And they're just better items right now, I think. And it's super expensive as well. It costs 3.3k. I think the main issue is actually that it's so expensive as well. Otherwise it would be really good. But it's just too expensive. Let's see, how much does it cost? Yeah, 3.3k. It costs 3.3k. Too expensive. I mean, even though there's like good stats, ability haste, AD and armor, and then you heal everything back, you deal damage, especially since Rengar's insane AD numbers. It is a good item. But they're just better items. I think Death Stance is B tier. Only if, like I said, if they're full AD. If they're full AD, if you're super fat, have insane gold, you don't want to lose your lead, then you can go Death Stance. B tier. Oh, an item many people are probably curious about. What do I think about Hydra? What do you guys think that I think about Hydra, huh? What do I just two-popped him. What do I think about Hydra? I think Hydra is a good item. I think Hydra is still good. Especially if you need to go side lane. When do you go side lane? If you don't have a side lane yourself, or that you're really fat overall and you can perma push in side lanes, or the enemy team is sieging, or your team is sieging. That's when you go side lane, right? When you put on pressure on the side lane, with Hydra you can one-shot every wave, and then you just either get the whole side lane, get all the turrets, or you put on pressure, push the wave in, then someone rotates to the wave, and then you can rotate to your teammates and get picks in the mid lane. But the problem with Hydra is, it needs way too long to stack up, okay? It needs way too long to stack up. Like, especially as a jungler. Hydra kinda sucks as a jungler. Jungle camps stack it up way too slow. So the only time you'll get Hydra is 4th item, when you're actually already on the side lane farming. So you can stack Hydra up way faster, right? Because minions stack it up so fast. You need like 3 waves, 4 waves, 5 waves, no 5 waves, you need 5 waves, there we go. 5 waves and Hydra's already fully stacked. But when it comes to jungle camps, you need like 4 full clears, which takes way longer, right? But Hydra is good. The problem as well is it's super expensive. So you only can go Hydra when you're really fat and you have the gold for it. Or if it's like your 3rd or 4th item, right? Hydra is good. because it's too expensive and you can't stack it fast. But then once you have it, it gives you an insane amount of AD, life steal, and sidelane pressure, so that kinda makes up for it. Just because it's so broken on sidelane and Rengar's playstyle just relies so much on sidelaning, I'll put Hydra as a B minus tier. Like, I think it's super good if it wouldn't be that expensive. And jungle camps would actually stack it up way faster. But once you have stack it up, such a good item. So B minus is like the way to go with it, I think. Axiom Arc, I think Axiom Arc is shit. I haven't talked about Axiom Arc, even though it gives you good stats. I don't see the value of having so many ultimates on Rengar unless you're maybe like 10 kills. Because all the other items again outvalue Axiom Arc. All the other lethality items actually give you good stats or like good passives that you need on Rengar when it comes to like combat. Prowlers is better, Serpent's Fang is better, Axiom Arc only gives you more ultimates. And usually Rengar doesn't need that many ultimates. Because you need like one ultimate per fight, and then the fight is like, the next fight happens after like, I don't know, 1 minute again. And especially in mid game. Not even mid game, it's worth it. And one kill is only 20% cooldown reduction on your ultimate. I don't think it's worth. I really don't think so. I think Axiom Arc is a CT item. I would never go Axiom Arc, I think it's a CT item.